Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video for the channel. In a world where, everyone seems to be waiting for Taylor Swift to release Midnight, the people that actually know what the fuck is up in the music industry were just waiting for Björk to release Fossora. Because it doesn't really matter which time in Björk's career we're talking about, she always delivers something unique. It doesn't necessarily need to be good. There are some of her albums that are just a fucking mess, but it's always a new experience. It's always original. It always has Björk written all over the place. She has a pretty, distinct style of mixing pop music with art pop music and glitchy pop as well. If you're new to the channel, then you may not know this, but I am a really big fan of Björk's discography. I think that she has released many of my favorite albums ever. For example, Vespertine, if you're talking about Posts. But in this album, the only thing that really keeps that same aura of being strange but beautiful at the same time is the instrumentals, because Björk's vocals sound more human than ever. Actually, this album has some of my favorite vocal performances by Björk, even if you consider the entirety of her discography. Even if we're talking about the opening track, Autopose, one of the hardest and heaviest opening tracks in Björk's discography. Or we're talking about Obule, Ancestress, also Victimhood. Björk's performance in every single one of these songs comes out even better than one of my favorite performances in recent times as well, Lingua Ignota. It seems like you can really tell the sorrow or the happiness or the anger. You can tell every single emotion that is going through Björk's voice. It doesn't really matter what you're portraying. You can portray anger, you can portray even roboticness like in the Kraftwerk albums. But something you do want to have through the entirety of the album is a consistent and just fucking all out performance. And it seems like Björk has a fucking degree in terms of communicating feelings through the tone of your voice, the way that you perform, how loud you perform, and also, your articulation. But not everything about this album is as great as I'm making it out to be, because there is a major issue with this record, and is the instrumentals. I'm not saying that every single instrumental in this album is bad. Actually, most of them are beautiful and, innovative. There's something unique about every single one of them. The problem is that they're a fucking mess. A Björk instrumental is not going to be normal, it's never going to be something you expect, especially in this album where the concept is, the idea sounds good and it's putting this beautiful string arrangements, horns, vocal harmonies next to this really loud and aggressive beats, like for example, again in the opening track Autopose, or in, the second track of this album, Obule, or Obule, I don't really know how to pronounce it. Often when she delivers these combinations, it all sounds really beautiful and cohesive, and it sounds good. It's a good mix and it keeps the track interesting. It's hard hitting. I just imagine going to the gym and putting Autopose on. You're probably gonna lift the entire gym with your fucking hands, bro. What I'm trying to say is that this combination isn't always a bad one. Actually, when it's good, it's fucking amazing, and many of my favorite Björk tracks are on this album, and that's saying a lot, considering you're talking about one of my favorite female artists of all time, if not my favorite, actually. That should tell you enough. This album has some amazing tracks. For example, the interlude Mycelia, beautiful vocal harmonies, really well mixed. The opening track Autopose, this tempo that makes me remember the reggaeton music, makes me think how interesting reggaeton music would be with a different approach. The track Obule that starts with this beautiful horns in the background and then go again into a really loud and aggressive drum beat. If it weren't because, Björk's performance is so vulnerable and at the same time so filled with character, you would think that this is the type of music that people from Avatar listen to. But the same thing that makes this album such a unique experience is also what makes it somewhat a questionable one, because as much as I love the combination of loud drumming, beautiful string arrangements, and a really almost flawless performance, these three things are often, not in the same tempo, which makes the track uncomfortable. It makes it somewhat, claustrophobic. It starts really beautifully and it plays out well, but at a certain point, everything just becomes a mess and it makes the whole listen less enjoyable. The second track on this album, Obule, is a perfect example of this, because it's almost like every single track is going in two different directions, or three or four, which makes the whole track lose that beauty and that hard-hittingness for just utter confusion. And it happens on multiple tracks as well. It happens also on victimhood. In that track, Björk just doesn't bother to be on beat. Most of the times you're more focused on trying to find some sense in the whole instrumental rather than just listening to what Björk is saying. This is not something that completely kills the album, but it is something that makes me feel quite annoyed, especially thinking how good the album could have been if not for these issues. And maybe this isn't an issue. Maybe Björk planned the album to be this way, but me personally, I don't think it was a good idea. I don't think I don't think if this was the idea, it was rightly performed. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the only issue I have with this album, because the songwriting, the lyricism is on point. Both the melodies and the lyrics go well with each other, and they make a beautiful experience as well. The lyrics in this album can go from totally abstract to really well centered and focused. For example, one of my favorite lyrics throughout the whole listen is in the track Her Mother's House, where Björk says, "When a mother's house has a room for each child, it's only describing the interior of her heart." Damn. It's not that I quite understand what that is saying, it's just that it made me it made me go like, damn. Is it? And I started thinking about how me, my mother, and my sister lived, and how we both, ever since I was really little, even a baby, I had my own room. Is that what it means? It made me think, and I love when the lyrics make me think and reconsider, and it's just so thought-provoking. Also, in the same song you have, the space in your voice shows the scale of your compassion, the tone of your voice reveals the space you give others. Do you understand what that means? I don't, but I like it. I think it's thought-provoking. I've been thinking about it. Overall, this is clearly a W for Björk. I love this album. I think it's one of my favorite releases from this year. I think that all the ideas, all the, the feelings that inspired this album were played out really well throughout the album. I also think that in terms of lyrics, this is one of Björk's most interesting albums, more abstract as well. Not more than certain others, but definitely a really interesting one that makes you think twice about what she's saying, So I really love that as well. As I said, I think the album has some issues, but I think that are issues that are not that important, or at least they don't take away that many points from the album. Pretty much, I love this album. I love Björk, and I'm just really, really desperate for another album. I'm giving this album an 8. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I want to know what you think about this album. Do you like it? Do you not like it? If not, let me know your reasons. And if yet, let me know your reasons as well. With that being said, once again, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I can see you soon with a new video. Bye.